bring up my giant list of horrible reviews here, so I have it ready. There we are.
Hello, we're back here with Unsourced Radio, and I'm joined here with two great guests, as you've all already heard, and you might be familiar with Comrade Bullski from Twitter. He's been on the show a couple of times over, the duration I've been doing this, but also with the esteemed Judge Anon, and we're gonna be, having some fun today, playing a little game, and just seeing where the stream takes us. But you want to introduce yourselves? By all means, if you wouldn't mind starting, Comrade.
Yep. So I'm Andreas, but I'm known online as Comrade Bullski. I review comics. I write a little bit online. I do little nostalgia dives into obscure stuff, mostly on Twitter right now, but I also publish articles here and there. And me and Elvis have been talking about stuff forever. Basically, we've talked about a lot of stuff in the past on this show, but tonight we're trying something new.
Yeah, my name is Judge Anon. I also write about comics. Sometimes I write comics. I've been publishing a couple of fanzines and also publish some independent stuff. But in general, I just, talk about comics and write about them online. Just like, it's a very unique niche. It's not something that a lot of people do, but I'm happy to do my best about it.
Well, that's great. So, and I'm glad to have you here, so we can really kind of dig into the meat of what we're doing today. I think it's gonna be a really fun time. But why don't you walk us through what you have planned? Because it was all your idea, Comrade. Let's see what you got.
All right. Okay, so I stole this concept. Totally, like cards on the table immediately. This concept is stolen from a podcast that me and Elvis listen to called The Weekly Planet, who in turn stole it from BuzzFeed. So this is like we're several degrees down in the plagiarism hole here. What we're going to do tonight is that I'm going to read a very terrible, savage, or just crazy review of a famous comic book. And Judge Anon and Elvis are going to try to guess which comic it's about. It's going to be a little bit of a mystery because these reviews can be very esoteric. They can be focused on very strange things. They can be totally wrong. You don't know really. I've cribbed these reviews from Amazon.com, that great institution of like high quality reviews. Where like any madman can leave a review there and give it stars. The review system there is 1 to 5 stars. You can't give something a 0, so a 1 star is the absolute lowest that you can give something, which is going to play into this later. Basically, in order for this to not be like impossible, because obviously there are many comics out there, I've taken very famous comics for tonight's event. These are going to be comics that pretty much everybody who is into comics, even like a little bit, is going to know about these comics. You're going to have heard about them. You may not have read them, but you're going to know what they are in order to make it a little bit easier. I'm going to give a little bit of hints in some cases because context can be very important. In order for you to guess successfully, you only need to nail what comic this is, like the comic title, obviously, and what run it is roughly. Like, you don't need to specify, oh, this is like the omnibus edition, or this is like the absolute edition of Jack Kirby's New Gods. It's not going to be anything like that. Like, if you say, oh, it's Jack Kirby's New Gods, that's the correct answer if that's the comic, you know? There might be a trick or two in here. We don't know. We'll find out when we go. And that's basically it. Like, I have a bunch of these, and they range from totally deranged to just, like, totally wrong. So it's going to be very interesting to see what shakes out. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready, Freddy.
100%. Let's do this.
Let's do this. All right. I think that we are actually going to start off with a little bit of an easier one, because I think we should like sort of ease ourselves into it and like sort of feel out how this works, like what kind of mindset these people have that are reviewing these comics, because this can be very, very confusing. Trust me, like sometimes you have no idea what they're talking about. So let's see here which one we should start with. Okay. I think we're going to start with, let's see. I should probably have randomized these a little bit more before I started, because now they're just listed by publisher. Oh yeah, it's only Marvel and DC Comics tonight because it's easier that way. But obviously, if we do this again, I definitely want to dig into like independent comics and stuff like that. Okay, let's start out with this one. So this is a 1-star review from Andrew, and he
Hi,
has.
Andrew.
Yes, hello Andrew. If this is you, call in. So here's what he said. If you enjoy a bland story with religion being spewed all over it, this might be for you. Extremely disappointing. I couldn't even read everything. Ended up skipping panels through the whole thing. A story with religion spewed all over it. This is a DC comic.
All right. Okay. Well, that these are bad comics, right? These are bad.
No, These are mostly very best-selling comics.
Okay.
Very critically acclaimed comics.
All right. So
you may not like them. That's subjective, but they're definitely like big sellers, big famous.
There's only two things it could be. All right, only two things it could be, in my opinion. You want to go, Judge? I think you might get it.
I'm gonna go with the obvious one. I'm gonna say that's probably Preacher.
Really? That's the obvious one to you? Wait, before you say if he's wrong, I'm gonna do my guess. All right.
Sure, absolutely.
Mandrake's the Spectre.
Oh, those are both very good guesses. But it's Kingdom Come.
What the hell do you mean?
Well,
I get.
No. One of the characters in Kingdom Come is a priest. He's that old guy who talks to the specter.
But like, but the metaphor is so weak.
Well, it has the Bible quotes in it. You know, the Bible quotes. You know,
when you think of Kingdom Come, you don't think the Bible. You think of that bit where like Captain Marvel stands with his big bulge in front of Superman. That's what you think of. You're not thinking, oh wait, the priest is there. You think of the Planet Hollywood, a rip-off or a parody. Okay, Bible.
Well, I don't know if any of these are parody reviews. These could be troll reviews. I don't fucking know. I just grabbed them.
This is insane. Lock this person up.
Okay, let's do another one. Let's do another easy one. This one is from Shane, and it's another 1-star review. This one is from way back in 2016, so this is an older review for okay. So I should explain that what Amazon does when it lists comic books is that it sort of just lumps together, like if it's the same story, then it lumps them together, like if it's a new edition or old edition. So like if a book goes out of print, it just lumps in those reviews go into the new edition that comes out. So you can find older like very, very old reviews under these. But this one is from 2016, and this is what Shane has to say. Superman is one of my all-time favorite superheroes, but this book is horrible. I wish I'd never bought it. It's corny, it's goofy, it portrays Clark as a bumbling idiot like the Christopher Reeve version. Not my Superman.
I got it. So easy.
What is it?
Secret Origin.
Okay, Judge, what's your guess?
I was gonna say All-Star Superman.
Judge, you're correct. That's All-Star Superman.
Let's go!
All right, that's
Superman.
Are they wrong? Are they wrong?
All-Star Superman has an excessive amount of bad reviews. It was very, very hard for me.
What do you mean excessive? My God!
It has when I was looking for these, sometimes I had to there were like maybe 3 or 4 reviews that had 1 or 2 stars like in total, and some of them are going to be like, oh, my copy arrived damaged. All-Star Superman has several pages of 1-star reviews, like just about how bad the story is.
I have a suspicion. I suspect that it's because All-Star Superman usually is one of the first things that people recommend when someone asks for a good Superman comic.
Oh.
And the people who are asking for a good Superman comic either haven't read a lot or they're trying to get into the character. And All Star Superman, if you're not ready for it, if you don't have like, it can hit you like a truck. It can
Uh,
hit you
Mm.
real fucking hard.
Okay, to be fair. So I in high school, I had a history teacher, right? Or music teacher, it's a teacher, right? And in my senior year, right, we and some other kids, and he's in there, he's in earshot. We're talking about comics, right? And I'm saying like, oh, I'm reading like Grant Morrison comics, right? 'Cause I'm reading Flex Pentelow on my tablets. Yeah, okay, all right. It wasn't really a tablet. It was the first Barnes and Noble Nook, and I had uploaded a PDF of Flex Pentelow on it. All right, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I was pretty proud of myself. I legally found images of the comic and I put them all into a PDF. I use a free PDF maker. So, right. And so I was like, I'm reading Grant Morrison comics. Like, like, oh, Grant Morrison, I hate it. So Superman. Out of nowhere, the teacher just says that. I hated Also Superman. I found it so corny. Maybe he wrote this review. Maybe he wrote the review.
Maybe that's Shane. That was Shane. Maybe, I don't know. It's possible. Like there are
and this was like a 30, 40-year-old man, so he was a
Yeah.
newsroom. All right. So,
there are a lot of reviews. Like Judge said, there are a lot of reviews for like the best-selling comics, which is like why I grabbed these in the first place, really. But All Star Superman was like excessively many bad reviews on it. Also a lot of good reviews, so it evens out. Okay, so we're going to do another one. We're going to do a review from all the way back in the deep dark past of 2013, from a man known only as Moore. I think he's like Moore Island, like that island in the X-Men comics. I don't know. This is a bit of a longer one, so you're going to have to hang on here because this has like this goes places. Okay,
This is an epic.
yes. So here's a review. Imagine the X-Men's most forceful, proud, and willful villain. Known for blowing down steel walls and asserting himself even when only at a fraction of his power. Stoop to putting on disguises and infiltrating the X-Men as a kind of fortune cookie spouting special ed teacher, Chinese Mrs. Doubtfire.
I think it away.
I think we're supposed to be impressed by the grand strategy of his plan, but it's a bit too much like the Parent Trap or Bosom Buddies not to feel like Magneto himself. Were he real, would hope no one would ever reads his story. I don't know what this is saying. The worst part of it all is that the reveal comes at the expense of the most innovative new character in X-Men comics in ages, a character that isn't whiny, introverted, beyond cynical, and can actually interact with Cyclops without always fighting with him. Oh well, on with the drama. You have been warned. I think this is an easy one,
This
obviously.
is very it's so
Yes.
clearly.
It's
New
an-
X-Men. It's new X-Men.
It's an easy one, but it's also funny because it's the same team as the last one.
Yes.
Yeah, yes,
It's
you're
like
right.
poetry.
My God,
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
my God, Morrison and quietly,
Very quietly, yeah.
Okay.
But I only picked this one because fortune cookie spouting special ed teacher Chinese Mrs. Doubtfire. Like that's the
That
best
is-
description of the Zorn plot that I've ever read. Like
And
that's
like the Parent
fantastic.
Trap, like these were the
What's
cultural
the-
touchstones that the motherfucker was using.
I don't know what the Parent Trap thing is about. I don't get it. Like I don't see the similarity at all. Like
Man who has only ever seen one movie and it was a Parent Trap. Wow,
No,
I'm
he
getting
also-
a lot of
no, no.
Parent Trap vibes out of this.
no, he's also seen Bosom Buddies. He mentions
And
two
Mrs.
movies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm wondering where. I mean, other than like person putting on a disguise of some sort. Yeah, I'm not sure what the connection really is.
He's watched a grand total of 3 movies.
He's watched 3 movies, and he's convinced that Grant Morrison was like lifting from those. Okay, so let's do a slightly shorter one now. This is a review from Steven. Hi, Steven. And it's very short and to the point, and it's also absolutely fucking insane. So here we go. If you like communist propaganda, then this is the book for you. Also, the characters were underdeveloped. Overall, I give this book 1 star. It stinks. Save your money for other things. Okay.
Red Sun.
Communist
Red Sun.
propaganda. What do you think, Judge?
Red Sun.
Oh yeah, no, it's probably Red Sun.
It is Red Sun. Good
It is
work,
Red
guys.
Sun.
To be fair, Red Sun isn't that good. No, I'll say it here. That's why I always found it funny. People are like, he ripped off Red Sun from Grant Morrison, but that's not saying much because Red Sun sucks.
Yeah, but like communist propaganda, Red Sun,
I
like
know, no, right?
what?
It's such a flaccid attempt at any of those things. Honestly, like I don't know how you can't really glean anything from it, which is part of why it sucks.
This is a review by someone who saw the cover.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Well done. Actually, that's both of you had that one right. Okay, so now we're gonna do.
I just stole it from Elvis. Elvis had that right. I just ripped it off.
yeah,
I just ripped it off the way Miller ripped it off from Morrison.
Morrison should have better ideas then, because Jesus, I'm sorry, but like I don't get the hype of Red Sun. I really don't.
Maybe it was something that Morrison wrote down on like a cocktail napkin while he and Miller were out for drinks or something, and he just made like a whole comic out of it. Like you know,
100%.
I mean, we know from Mark Wade that nobody understands what Morrison says during the meetings because he's Scottish. Their Scottish is so broad.
Yeah.
Like, have you read those New 52 little in the collected New 52?
You mean
They're like
52?
little.
You mean 52?
Yeah, 52. There are like little
52.
interviews with the creators in the collected volume. They're so fucking funny. Like the one where Mark Wade talks about how he asked Grant Morrison if he could use Bulleteer from Seven Soldiers. And he thought that Morrison said yes, but it turned out that they said no. But nobody understood it because it was in Scottish. Like it was like, and Mark Wade just goes like he just types down like a big rant like about like mangy Scots git. I think he calls Morrison, which is it's beautiful. It's beautiful. He's a beautiful person, Mark Wade.
Whoa.
All right. Okay. We're going to do a hard one here.
Oh boy.
This is a very good review. Honestly, this is one of the best reviews in here. In terms of that. I don't know if this is a real review or if this is a troll. This is from Greg. He's given this book 1 star. And his review is this. Is this Marvel or? ? I bought this and it's about a writer with an eye patch. No Spider-Man in sight.
God.
Maybe this should have been a novel? ? That's the review.
Oh my God.
No Spider-Man in sight.
What are you talking about?
Judge, what do you think it is? What do you think?
What else is it
What
gonna be?
is Marvel?
This is clearly, obviously, Ruins.
Oh, so it could be Ruins or Marvel. I'm going with Marvels.
Oh, I'm going with Ruins. It's clearly Ruins.
No, it is actually Marvels. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
How did I get it wrong?
Okay, so I think the reason for this review is because the most commonly used cover for Marvels is Spider-Man. Yeah,
Right.
there's a Spider-Man cover of Alex Ross painting with like Phil Sheldon in like Spider-Man's eye, I think, like reflected in his eye. But like this person bought a comic called Marvels, and his first question is this Marvel? ?
But like the thing is, right? Like, okay, when I first read Marvels, I was like a little kid, like around 11, 10, and yeah, the cover I saw at the bookstore was like Spider-Man hanging outside a window of his camera. Emphasizing the photojournalistic aspect of things, So like, oh, look, Spider-Man. It's called Marvels. Wonder what it's about. So I started reading it. And it's like, oh, look, the history of Marvel. That's cool. And so I'm like a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, like, oh, this is really cool. Like the history of Marvel comics. I've never read comics, so it's good. It's like a good primer, I think, to me as a kid. And this man's like, oh, why the fuck is Spider-Man? Like, what? Come on, man, get into the spirit of things.
Yeah. But like, I think that this person did not read until like the 4th issue, which is like entirely about the Gwen Stacy issue. Like he can't have read that far because like it's all about Spider-Man at that point. Maybe he just gave up. He was like, oh, what's this, like Captain America, like a lame,
Human Torch,
like,
Jim Hammond,
Fantastic Four, all those lame fucks, Galactus.
Oh, he's like
Namor.
Oh yeah, like the Fantastic Four. Who cares about them? Like this, there's Spider-Man on the cover. Where is Spider-Man? Okay, good, perfect. But I'm sorry, Judge, but you didn't get a point from that. And you guessed from the Ruins. Like, oh, that's a good guess, but you should have looked up Ruins because that's like okay, a bad comic with good reviews, maybe. I don't know. Okay, so we're going to do another one. And this is one of the reviews that made me make this entire thing in the first place. Like this review, when I found this is just fucking chef's kiss.
Inspirational.
It's very easy to guess, but it's so good. I need to share it with you. So this is from Totally Legal Alien. It's 1 star. It's a fairly new review. It's from December 2023. And the review is as follows. This edition has little to nothing to do with the amazing HBO show and follows the god-awful movie much more closely. If you're looking for the source material for the
Oh my fucking
HBO
God.
series, this
Oh my
is
God.
not it.
Oh my God.
Okay,
Oh my
Judge.
God.
Okay, Judge, what do you
What
think
kind?
it is?
Jesus Christ! What kind of review is that?
This-
I'm not gonna. I'm not even gonna say it. 'Cause I don't want this to be true. I'm not gonna say my guess. It's insane.
Judge, what do you think it is?
the HBO show. This is follows the movie and not the HBO show.
Yeah, this comic follows the movie more closely than the HBO show, so this isn't what you want. Like,
it's a Hellblazer book.
I'm talking about Watchmen, right? It's gotta be Watchmen.
it's Watchmen.
Oh my god!
This is for. I also want to point out this is for like the ultimate edition of Watchmen, which is like the most complete edition that you can possibly buy. But I want you to drink in this review. Like this has to be a troll. It can't be real. It can't be real.
It can't. It is. Oh my fucking God!
Like
Oh my-
if you're looking for like the it has little to nothing to do with the amazing HBO show. Okay, it follows the god awful movie much more closely, does it? I mean, I guess kind of. Like maybe the plot structure is a bit more like the movie, I guess. But like if you're looking for the source material for the HBO series, this is not it. Yeah, because there is no source material for the HBO series.
You know the source material for the HBO series. It's like internet forums for the most typical complaints about Watchmen. It's like, I'm sorry, but like the HBO show is so terrible. It is a disgrace, honestly. Because it feels like the most generic "what if superheroes were real" kind of thing, which isn't what Watchmen's really about. It's not about what superheroes are hero. It's about like what if we applied real life scenarios to superheroes. Okay, it's not just like let's just drop superheroes into like a real world. That's not the same thing. That's not.
No, I totally agree with that. But also, I want every listener to know that before we started this, Elvis was like, "Oh, we probably shouldn't be like too critical about the comics that we talk about because like listeners might think that we're like being intentionally provocative."
and then I'm going off.
You're the one who's going off. That's the best part. Oh my goodness!
But these are insane people. Like,
oh yeah, that review was so good. Like,
but
oh
like,
my god,
like my favorite part of that review is that it's not about comics. It's
Nope.
about the movie and the show, and they thought that this was like the adaptation of one or the other. And it's like, no,
Yup.
this is the source material.
Absolutely. There are a lot of reviews that are like, "Oh, I bought this and I thought that it was like the novel that it was based on," and I'm like, "What?" Like there are a lot of reviews like that for comics that have been turned into movies and stuff. Like you go and look and it's like, "Oh, I thought this was like the novel, The Killing Joke, that the comic is based on." I'm like, what the fuck are you saying? Alan Moore is like fucking turning in his grave and he's not dead yet. So, okay, let's do another one. Let's do an older one, and this is a very, very famous comic. I think that we have talked about it like many times, Judge. Like, this review is honestly pretty easy, but I just want to read it because it's crazy. So this is from Dan. He reviewed this comic in 2014, and he gave it 1 star, and he starts off his review with liberal garbage. So you know we're in for a treat.
That's good.
This comic was meant to make a political stance on things like gun control, and that somehow nothing can function without a government overseeing it. The reality is that a supervillain in quotation marks with a capital S, I don't know what that indicates, but that's important, I guess, caused all the death and destruction. But it was ultimately blamed on superheroes. How incredulous is that? People have a right to protect themselves when the government becomes inept. Go back to the 90s, people, when not every book had to be about the liberal agenda.
Oh, this
What
is ironic. This is
Judge,
this is pretty
Judge,
ironic.
which comic is it?
That's Civil War.
What do you think, Elvis?
And yeah, it's pretty ironic given what's been going on recently, but it's Civil War.
It's absolutely Civil War. That famous liberal agenda comic
Oh,
Civil
oh,
War. Like,
famous iconic liberal Mark Miller.
yes.
Oh my!
Like, that comic is so liberal. Like, what?
I know.
What?
Oh,
What
you
is
know,
this person talking about? Like this. Also,
Yeah.
this is from 2014. This is like this is fucking pre-Comicsgate. I think Comicsgate was 2015, right? Or at least it's very close to the start. So this guy had brain rot like before it became common.
Yeah, and it's wild because he's saying like, well, Civil War is such a liberal comic because it says that nothing can work without the government. It's like, no, like the comic very much says that the government is a bunch of fucks too. Like
It's
that comic opens with the government trying to arrest Captain America. It was a
Yep.
whole thing.
it's wild. Like, did this person read Civil War and like he read it and he was like, oh, it's clearly favoring Captain America. It must be like liberal agenda. Or did he read it and think that Tony Stark is the liberal because Captain America is like the icon of America? I don't know how this person thinks. It could be either. Like, this is an insane review.
it is. I can't believe we heard that. We heard it. Like, I can't believe it. I wonder if they
So-
like. Thankfully, Mark Millar, found their way with like, with fucking Prodigy, which is like the CERN. The CERN is run by elites with who are liberal or elites who are in league with the devil and shit like that. And that's more his speed. It's more his speed.
Famous like liberal Mark Millar, like writer of comics like Jupiter's Legacy, about like how I don't think this person knows what liberal means either.
No.
Like, maybe this is like woke. He think it's like woke, like it means things I do not like. Maybe
Yeah,
I
definitely.
don't know. Okay, excellent. That was a point for both of you. So well done. So let's see.
Yeah.
Right now, you have 5 points, Elvis, and Judge has 4, and that's just
Oh.
because of the ruins thing.
Oh wait, you're keeping track?
Oh,
Damn,
I'm
you're
fucking
real-
keeping track, my
Oh,
dude.
damn.
Okay, so
Time to lock in.
okay, so here's another review, and this is one where you actually have to pay attention to what the review, how it's worded, because there is a clue in here.
Mm.
So this is written by Where's the Beef? It's 1 star. It says, don't even bother with this. Get the original from the 1970s. So we're dealing here perhaps with like an older reader, maybe. This was truly awful. You all need to read the original Jim Starlin Warlock series from the 70s, which was infinitely, okay, there's a quotation mark there because it's like a joke, haha, infinite, it was infinitely superior to this hacked out Drek in every way. What comic is it?
Oh, it's probably an Annihilation, right?
So it's he thinks that you should go back and read Jim Starlin's Warlock comics from the 70s because they're
right.
better. There's an infinitely joke in here. Like, what do you think? What's
I is
shaking
mine.
this guy's
So
head?
go ahead, Elvis.
Wasn't there like an event called Infinite? Like the
There's an event called Infinity written by
Mm.
Jonathan Hickman that was
Yeah.
part of his
yeah, I'm gonna say that.
Avengers run. That was
My
the
guess,
one with
yes.
that was the one with the builders, and then Thanos was there for like no reason. He was literally just there like because like the movies was happening.
Yeah, that's what introduced like the children of Thanos and shit, right?
The Black Order, yes.
Like-
I actually like the Black Order. I think they're kind of fun, like
Right.
goofy minions.
That's my guess. That's my guess.
Yeah. Okay, so Judge, did you guess Annihilation? Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the Infinity Gauntlet, like the 1990s.
What the fuck
series.
do you mean?
Sorry, what?
The Jim Starlin George Perez classic Infinity
What?
Gauntlet. This superior to this hacked out Trek in every way. Oh my god, this review, like this dude read the Infinity Gauntlet and he was like, oh my god, Jim Starlin has totally lost his way. Like, we need to go back to the 70s stories instead.
I can't believe Jim Starlin ruined the work of Jim Starlin.
Jim Starlin ruined Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet.
You know what? I can believe it because Jim Starlin did ruin New Gods, so I can believe it.
Yeah, but he didn't
also,
create new guns. Too.
yeah, but also like, oh my god, this is so wild to me because like I wasn't around in the 70s, so my exposure to Thanos was through the Infinity Gauntlet and the sequel series in the 90s. And like even today, when I can read through the Infinity Gauntlet because like it's George Perez art, like it's good, it's fun. So it's so wild to me that this person looked at that and he was like, "Oh my god! Like this is just hashed out like a bad sequel to the '70s." Man, I don't know how these people think sometimes. That's probably a comment written by an actual boomer, by the way. Like, I mean, given the age bracket involved. All right. My goodness. That was a hard one to guess as well.
Yeah,
Like,
and I can.
It's
I would.
also, it's also a little wild because like when was that review posted?
okay, so that review was posted in 2017, so not
Okay, so
too
this
long
is a
ago.
person. This is a person who read Starling's Warlock probably when it came out, and
Probably.
then he waited all the way until 2017 to either read or review Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Like
Uh,
either he waited until 2017 to read Infinity Gauntlet, or he read Infinity Gauntlet when it came out, and he was so fucking pissed that 20 years later he went on Amazon and left a review talking
Yeah.
about what a piece of
Yeah.
shit.
No,
it is.
you had to wait until like mass communications copy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. He was just
Like-
waiting for the Amazon review system to come around. He was just
Yeah,
sitting there.
like-
I mean,
like
it's quite possible that he wrote in to like. I mean, we don't know. He maybe wrote into like the Comics Journal and wrote how bad this was back in the day. Who the hell knows? These people.
he was a devil of the letters column.
Oh yeah, like usually they didn't post like overtly negative stuff in the letter columns, but they posted some stuff in there that's also like literally probably written by insane people. Okay, that was a hard one. Now we're going to have another one. We're going to switch back. I think we're going to do a DC one instead. So this is from Al5000. I don't know if this is like a computer writing a review, maybe. It's 1 star. It's from 2020, so it's fairly recent. And this is what he wrote. Batman in tights and kapow, driving an ice cream truck. This is really tame and old school. Okay, so this is tame old school Batman. So if you are expecting high-tech tumblers, nano-edge carbon fiber, and Kevlar technology with high-octane action, and a nail-biting storyline, you might be a little disappointed. It was originally published over 30 years ago, and despite being revamped, I don't know what revamped means in this context, it really is showing its age in every way. Batman is wearing tights, and Alfred carries the silver service teapot down a long staircase to the Batcave. One for collectors and enthusiasts, perhaps. What is it? Okay, it is a Batman comic, and I can say that. This isn't like some kind of trick that it's a comic with Batman in it. This is a Batman comic. What do you think, Judge?
Ice cream truck. What the fuck?
He wears tights in this. He doesn't have a tumbler. He doesn't have any nano-edge carbon fibers. Is that like a thing?
And
Maybe
it's
that's a thing today. Yeah, I
it's
guess.
like 20, 30 years ago. That would have been in the 90s. So
I'm gonna say year one.
Okay, so you say year one. Yeah, a Frank Miller classic. What do you think, Judge? What's in here? It's for collectors and enthusiasts, according to the reviewer. What would a collector want to read about, like Batman?
I'm torn between two options, and one of them doesn't quite fit the time frame, so I am gonna go with a Shadow of the Bat. I'm gonna say like one of the Shadow of the Bat collection.
Oh, the Alan Grant.
Yeah,
type one?
the Alan Grant, the Norm Fogg ones.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say it was one of those.
Well, what was your other guess? Can I ask?
My other guess, I don't want to say because I don't want to double dip, but I was gonna say one of the
okay.
collections of the Batman Adventures. You know, the ones from the animated show.
Oh, yeah. That's those are pretty old school.
But I'm gonna go with Shadow of the Bat.
It's the Killing Joke. You know, that famous old school Batman story.
I
My
am
God.
I
Batman
am
in time.
fucking
Batman in
sorry.
Batman
What?
in time. This story is showing its age in every way, just so you know. Batman's wearing tights, and Alfred carries a silver service teapot down a long staircase. That's, I mean, it's for collectors and enthusiasts. I think this person who wrote this has to be very young. Like
Fucking what? The
that famous old school Batman comic, The Killing Joke.
yeah, only for collectors and enthusiasts. The fucking Killing Joke.
There are quite a few reviews of The Killing Joke which say that it's overrated, which I think is a perfectly okay opinion to have.
Yeah, like Alan Moore himself agrees.
That's fine. Alan Moore, yeah, there's even people in there who quote Alan Moore who's like, yeah, sure, it's not my best thing. Like, sure. But like saying that it's too old school Batman, like, what? What's going on here? What's happening?
And no Kevlar belts, no tumblers,
No nano edge.
bullshit.
Is that something that Batman is known for, like having like nano edge weapons or what? Maybe.
Christ.
I don't know. Okay, right. So that was a hard one. We're going to do another one here. This is a review from 2015. And this is actually relevant that it's from 2015 in this case. So cast your minds back to that faraway time. It's from Shannon W, who he or she gave 1 stars to this. And here we go. There are no capitalizations in this review. Like it's this is lowercase only. This was and is stupid, politically correct BS. Never in the commonly known comic universe has a comic book hero ever been associated with a religion. Why now do we have to have a Muslim? Not worth the read. What is it?
Oh, that's probably Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
It's absolutely Miss Marvel by
Yeah.
Eagle Wilson.
Ugh.
Okay, so never in history have we had a comic book hero associated with a religion, haven't we?
We named like 4 during this entire thing so far. So.
But Bullski, I thought comics were full of religion stuff. Now, didn't Andrew tell us about that?
Oh my god!
Like half an hour ago.
Yeah, thank you. Like, my god, there are so many reviews of Miss Marvel. Like, this was the one I went into this one because I wanted to find one that was like full on, like, oh, this is only for soy boy cucks. Like, there wasn't one that was that funny, but there are a lot of these like are just, yeah.
I can't believe they made a superhero with a religious background, says user Matt Murdoch 1987.
I don't know. Sometimes it's just a mystery to me. Like I don't know what people are doing. Okay, let's grab another one here. Let's grab another one from down here. Right. So this is one that's a little bit focused on the graphic side of the comic. For once. We've had a lot of ones that have been very focused on the writing and the storyline and the characters.
Mm-hmm.
So this is from Mriganka Roy Choduri. I think it's from India. It's from Amazon India, because these aggregate reviews from all the international sites as well. He gave it 1 stars. And here's what he wrote about it. I purchased this book seeing all the rave reviews, but it was my mistake. A graphic novel is all about visualization, but the drawing is poor. Why should I waste 1,300 rupees for such a rubbish thing? It seems a 7 or 8-year-old has penciled the novel. Truly disappointing. What is it?
Oh. Is Alex Ross involved again?
Okay, so this is a DC comic, I can say.
Okay.
I'm going to give you as well a little bit more of a hint because this is a pretty hard one to guess. But this is a DC comic that is it's one of those comics that people tend to recommend to new readers for this character. It's one of those that ends up on like, oh, this is stuff that you should start reading when you want to try out this character. So this is kind of like an evergreen in many ways.
Oh,
And it's for a
is
very famous character as well.
is it Elvis? Do you want to go first? I feel like I've been going first a lot.
No,
but I have-
I honestly couldn't even guess, man.
Is this Batman Year One?
Ah, you were so close. It's Batman: The Long Halloween.
Oh,
You know that horrible art by Tim Sale looks like it's drawn by a 7 or 8-year-old.
I mean, it's no Hulk Gray.
I picked this one specifically because I think that the art is like by far the best part of The Long Halloween.
Yeah.
Like it looks spectacular. Like that, the art in that's so gorgeous. This guy is like, no, this was drawn by an 8-year-old. Like what? What the fuck? Okay. I think you're gonna have to strap yourselves in for this one. Because this one is gonna go places. Like we're fucking going now, lads. Okay, so this was written in 2019. It's from Persephone the Wanderer. Mysterious.
What you got for us, Persephone?
Yeah, she's given this 1 star. I'm not gonna read the title of it because that actually gives it away. So here's the things that I learned from this comic. You are morally required to reconcile with your shitty, abusive, gaslighting family. Special people come from special parents. The author thought retconning in yet another dramatically killed mom was the way to make this character a better, more unique hero. There are a lot of random capitalizations in here, like dramatically killed mom is all capitals. Why? And then it all roofing even be so bad, except the artwork. It generic and the action scenes lifeless. One bright spot. Margaret Savage did the flashback art, and it is genuinely gorgeous and expressive. Her talents are wasted on this book. What is it?
Oh, Margaret Savage.
Yes.
Fuck.
It has a shitty, abusive, gaslighting family in it. Special people come from special parents. And we retcon in a dramatically killed mom into it. Well, what do you think it is? It's actually written in the same year that the comic came out, I believe.
I think because I don't remember it exactly, but wasn't that Captain Marvel? One of the Captain Marvel runs?
But which one?
Oh fuck! That got relaunched like a
title, maybe like a storyline title or something like that. What do you think, Elvis? What do you think? Do you think it's Captain Marvel?
I think yeah.
You think it's Captain Marvel?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a point for this because it is actually the Life of Captain Marvel, that miniseries that gave her the new origin. You know.
Yeah.
right.
But I included this one because it is clearly focusing on other things than the actual comic. But you know, it's nice that they had opinions. Also, I thought it was very sweet that they said that Margaret Savage did a great job with the art because that's very nice of them.
Yeah, that's objectively correct. That Margaret.
I could also pick this review, but it's impossible to guess from this one. But this review is so good. Oh, the same comic here. Life of Captain Marvel removes pretty much any mention of a positive male from the original story. Pretty much a stolen Prince story combined with Superman. Mwah! Like chef's kiss. There's the fucking stuff. This person gave it 2 stars out of 5, not 1 star. So they think it's horrible and like misandrist, but they gave it 2 stars. So you know,
fair enough. Please think of the dudes.
Yes. Exactly, the poor men. I'm amazed that you guys got that. Man, you guys remember the fucking Life of Captain Marvel mini? That's amazing to me.
I mean, it's like the only thing that I remember her being a part of in the last couple of years, honestly.
Yeah, it was pretty noticeable. I think I think Margaret Stoll wrote that one. I think. I don't remember. It was when she got the movie anyway, and
Yeah.
then it turned out that the movie gave her like the original origin anyway, so that the comic book origin was pointless. That's something that Marvel loves to do. Like they did that with America Chavez as well.
Oh,
when
yes,
they were
if
introducing her into the MCU. They were like, "Oh, she needs a new origin because
Hey,
original origin
hey,
is like
hey.
goofy."
hey. The new
Hey.
origin of comics is much better. Much better.
Yeah, but it's so funny that they do these
Yes.
things, and then
Then the movies do
the MCU is like, no, like the MCU origin for Carol is basically her original origin again, except that they took the Brood out because you can't use the Brood. Okay, okay. Let's do this one. This one is interesting, maybe a little bit difficult to guess, but we're going to take it anyway because it's very fun when you find out what it is. So this is from James. He's given this 1 star. I have read tens of thousands of comics over the last 30 years. Oh, this is a tough guy we're dealing with here. This is by far some of the most overrated trash I've ever read. It's almost completely unreadable gibberish that jumps all over the place. Issues end with no ending. The writer has the skill of a 4th grader. This is total garbage. If you want some real comic book magic, I suggest anything by Alan Moore, Brian K. Vaughan, early Frank Miller, anything by Grant Morrison, just about anything over this super hyped pile of trash. The art is actually really good, but even the artist could not save this comic. I'm going to give you a hint because this is obviously hard to guess. This is a DC comic. This is a DC comic that has been wildly critically acclaimed and has been pretty relevant in the last 2 weeks or so, I would say, for a specific reason.
What? Okay, 2 weeks or so.
Like it's bad. It's gibberish apparently. It does not compare to Alan Moore, Brian K. Vaughan, Frank Miller, Grant Morrison. So what is it? Maybe it's something that's a little bit more like on the cerebral side of comics. Like this is probably not like a generic superhero comic. Maybe it's something that tries to be something different. What do you think, Judge?
Is this planetary?
Oh, that's an interesting guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess planetary too.
It is planetary. How the fuck did you get that?
Because people were talking about like Cassidy obviously.
Yes, I had to include that. Cassidy.
Yes, and then I read planetary and like the art is probably doing a lot of heavy lifting here. I reread it because he passed away. I'm like, damn, the art is so good with the comic. The story itself is very thin, very thin.
I think it's pretty good. I enjoy it. Like,
I mean, it's. I think a lot of it is just a little bit undercooked. Like, oh, here's the Godzilla homage issue, and it's like not that great. All right, I'm taking a call.
Oh, sorry. Are you leaving? Oh, okay. The phone rang. Okay. But yeah, I had to put the Cassidy in one here, and the reviewer. Yeah, the reviewer said that the art was very nice. So, that's good.
I just went like process of elimination because it was like, it's a weird comic, but it cannot be by Grant Morrison. It cannot be by Alan Moore.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I wanted you to have like a little bit of a hint because just saying that, it's pretentious and makes no sense. Like it could be anything. Especially from these reviewers.
Oh, boy.
Like, I don't think we're gonna top that one with the Watchmen, the HBO one with Watchmen. That's
This far, the Killing Joke one is killing me.
Oh yeah, but yes,
that one just jumped.
All right, so I'm gonna be off for like about 10 minutes. You guys continue on. I'll be back.
Okay, so we're spinning our wheels for a while.
All right, we'll just talk about
you can continue.
Oh yeah, so
I'll be back in 10 minutes.
Sure. Yeah. I picked that one because like old school. Like that famous old school Batman comic, The Killing Joke, it's so old fashioned.
He has the gray tights and all. It's so quaint. It's basically Adam West.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Like this is a longer review for Miss Marvel that I couldn't use, but like this one starts out with like I took a chance buying this book not only because I thought that this character was called Miss Marvel. Like, yeah, she is called Miss Marvel. Like,
Yeah.
what, what? And then he continues, and it's like, Miss Marvel is now a 12-year-old with massive ham hands. Like, what? She's not 12. What's he talking about?
And that's yeah, she has massive ham hands. That's her power. Like
Yeah,
that's the
sure, but I
thing.
mean, she's not 12. Like, what the fuck? And then he's like, oh, the only thing I remembered about Captain Marvel in quotation marks from the 90s was that Rogue stole her powers and put her in a coma, question mark. Like, okay.
Oh.
I don't think this person has read many comic books, but he's really trying, because then he goes on to say, like, she was drawn magnificently then, a beautiful and stunning example of the idealized female superhero. And then you're like, oh yeah, it's one of those.
Oh,
It's one of those people.
brother.
Oh my
I
goodness.
don't remember anything about her, but she sure was pretty.
She had big boobs. Like, yeah, beautiful, beautiful person. Oh my god. Like, do you understand when I say that these people are crazy? Like, some of these reviews are just impossible to
I-
understand how they're working.
I'm a big fan of people who of the people who do a review, a bad review or something, and then they leave a recommendation like this is supposed to be a forum.
Mm,
Like this is not a comics discussion forum. We're not here to discuss your tastes. Like
yep. It's insane. Like, it's just, I mean, some people write like novels as well. Some of these reviews are just like 3 pages of just dense text, and I'm like, I'm not gonna read this on Amazon.com. I don't trust you.
I want here's what I'm gonna do, okay? I want a review site. I want a comic book review site where they review reprints, right? Only reprints. And the only thing I want to know is how long each book is, what issues are reprinted in it, and what kind of coloring is it using.
If it's like the new digital stuff, or if it's the classic one.
That is all I need to know. All I need to know is this going to like give me a page? Just show me a page, an interior page of the book, and tell me what kind of coloring it is. That is the only buyer's guide I would ever need for a reprint.
That's surprisingly hard to find that information, what the coloration is inside of the book. Like, if you read like, oh, this is the Thor by Walt Simonson omnibus, it sometimes doesn't say that it's using like the new digital colors, the recolor. I mean, like, obviously it's digital, but like, I would like to know before I buy it.
Like to know.
Yeah.
In some cases, it's like,
oh, that Killing Joke recolor. Like, I know that Brian Bolland was involved in that one, but it just kind of drains the art of that weird surreal feeling that the original has, with the unnatural colors, like it's bright with like weird bright neon in the funhouse and stuff like that, and the recolor is just like everything is just totally naturalistic.
Yeah, and it's just
does not look good to me. I mean, I guess I can understand where the mentality comes from when you go like, oh, I want this to look like realistic, but
yeah, Bolland is a very realistic kind of artist, and I get that that's what he was going for, but like, no.
Oh,
no.
While we're waiting for Elvis to get back, you're going to get to guess for something. This is a 5-star review for a comic. It's a comic that I don't think that any of us are super fan of. So you're going to get to guess. This is a 5-star review for a comic. What is it? So, amazing contribution to the Watchmen legacy and its existence in DC. It was an epic read and adds another layer to beloved characters. What is it?
Well, it can only be one of two things, but since it's saying that it was an epic read and that's another layer, I'm going to say it was before Watchmen.
Oh, before Watchmen, the multi-author, multi-artist project.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the books were kind of some of the books were a little bit different. Some of them were a little bit like. Who did you have involved in? It was like Brian Azzarello was in there somewhere, right?
Brian Azzarello did Rorschach and did the I think the Comedian
You're right, right,
miniseries.
right. Yeah.
And then you had weird shit like Jay Lee did the art for the Ozymandias issue.
Oh yeah.
Adam Hughes drew a
So
one
Silk
issue
Spectre,
for
right?
I think it was Silk Spectre, but also
Yeah.
Amanda Connor later wrote like a whole miniseries, draw a whole miniseries for
Mm,
like if like I appreciate that it got these guys to do interior art again,
yeah.
but holy fuck, what an unnecessary project!
Yeah.
What
Uh,
a
yeah. This review is Doomsday Clock, by the way.
shit!
Amazing
Ah,
contribution to the Watchmen legacy.
oh
Amazing contribution.
fuck! See,
Was
because
that your other guess?
no, my other guess was gonna be Tom King and the Rorschach mini that came out a couple years
Oh
ago.
no 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 no! This is Doomsday Clock. This is Jeff Johns, baby. Like
Oh,
Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. I actually think Gary Frank's artwork does a pretty good job at emulating the Brian Bolland style. Sorry, the Dave Gibbons style for Watchmen. But the story in that comic is not very good.
yeah, it's like Gary Frank does a really good job of emulating Dave Gibbons, and Geoff Johns does a shit job of emulating Alan Moore.
It also did not help that that comic took like what 2 years to finish.
And it was supposed to be like the big. It was supposed to have far-reaching consequences for the whole DC universe.
Oh yeah, it had some effects on Jeff Johns' JSA, which is another comic that's it's going to be 12 issues, and it's going to be almost 3 years before it hits 12 issues. Like it's on
Yeah.
issue 11 now, and it's been out for 2.5 years.
Why?
What is going on? What is going on over there? It can't be that hard, right?
I'm always weirded out by as a comic writer myself. I am always a bit weirded out when the delay seems to be coming from the writer. I can understand that delay from the artist. Like we
Yeah.
were just talking about Bolland, and he used to be really slow in a lot of things, but people put up with it because hey, it's fucking Brian Bolland.
Yeah.
But if you tell me like Geoff Johns can't write a JSA miniseries, something that he should be able to write in a coma, not even in his sleep, in a coma. Like Geoff Johns could be in a coma. You could give him a page and a pencil and say, "Hey, write me a Wildcat," and he should be able to fucking write you a Wildcat miniseries. And you're gonna tell me that somehow he's
All right,
what's
back.
going on?
Yep. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
We have been discussing the.
Bullski just punched
so,
me in the throat.
Let's see here. I have a comment from one of my mutuals on Twitter, Marcus Digital, and thank you for joining. Hope you're still here. I was AFK for a bit, taking care of some errands. So yeah, I live stream sometimes when there's something cool to do with some of my other mutuals here. Always talking about fun comic stuff. And yeah, catch me up. What are you guys talking about?
Oh, Bullski just kicked me in the chest.
What happened?
He gave me a
so-
fucking drop kick.
I read for Judge a 5-star review of the DC classic Doomsday Clock.
Oh my
Jeff
God.
Johns.
It's a 3-star at best. 3-star.
No,
at best.
that was a 5-star, and it said that it was like what was the exact wording? It was
A great addition to
a great
the-
addition to the Watchmen legacy and the history of the DC universe.
That's a low bar.
That's
Like, He told
yeah.
me that. Like my guess was, oh, it's obviously before Watchmen. Obviously,
yeah.
no,
You know what? Yeah, exactly. I would.
That would have been my guess. If you asked me that, I would have been, yeah, of course that's before Watchmen. I would have thought like, oh, it's the comic where Superman punches Dr. Manhattan, and that's like the most important event in the universe.
Like I can't see anything else after that punch.
Yeah,
Like, it's so over the top with it, man. It's what? Who cares?
we also marveled at the fact that that comic took 2 years to finish, which sort of deflated any hope that it would have like any impact on anything. Like Doomsday Clock just ran forever. Okay, guys, let's get back to guessing. Okay,
Rockin'.
wild. So we have a review here from T-Rex. It's a dinosaur writing this review. It's 1 star, and it's from 2022, so not too old. And he starts it off by saying a woke disappointment. So you know this is gonna be good. All right. So, as is often the case when there are too many personalities in an ensemble cast, you wind up not really caring what happens to any of them. And then Marvel throws in woke talking points and a gay scene to score moralizing points with the overestimated uber libs running media and Hollywood these days. Okay, so this is like throwing shade everywhere. Oh wow, how the mighty have fallen. What is it? I mean, you know that it's a Marvel
X
comic,
Factor.
obviously.
It's X Factor.
X Factor? Which X Factor?
The new one.
No, it's-
The Crow X Factor, I think, right? It's gotta be that.
The latest one
Yeah,
that
the
just
latest-
came out,
the-
the
the
Mark
latest-
Russell one?
X Factor? X Factor.
X Factor.
Am I thinking X Factor?
The Peter David one, you mean?
No, the one that was just there from Krakoa era.
Oh, that was that was Leah Williams, I think,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Oh.
X Factor Investigations. Okay,
guess.
that's your guess. Okay, Judge, what do you think? It's a Marvel comic. It's a Marvel thing. I mean, obviously, since I said Marvel, it has woke talking points. It has a gay scene in it. It has an ensemble cast, and there are too many of them, so you don't care what happens to any of them. It's catering to Uber libs who run media. What do you think it is? It's a 1 star. And it's a disappointment. So this person apparently had some kind of expectations going into this.
All
I
right.
guess if it's a disappointment.
I'm going to steal something that Elvis mentioned, and I'm going to say that it's probably like House of X, Powers of X.
Oh, so you're both in the Krakoa. Oh, you're both in
we're-
Krakoa right now.
We're both real Krakoa heads.
I'm going to change my guess because what you praise a lot of stuff is incorrect. Maybe you're misdirecting me, but here's my
Mulligan.
Young Avengers.
Young Avengers. Oh, which run?
The latest one. It's always the latest one.
The
Okay?
Kieran Gillen
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yes.
The one where they're all in a club and always dancing. Like
Yeah. Yes.
This is the Eternals. The
What the
2019
fuck do you
Marvel movie-
mean?
The movie. This is.
What do you mean?
This
What do
is
you mean? Oh,
This
sorry.
was
Oh,
just for you, Elvis. Sorry, but
all right,
I
so-
had to get an Eternals review.
So, all right. So, I'm just flabbergasted that anyone could think that much about Eternals to be that mad about it.
It has woke talking points. and
it
a
has
gay
no
scene.
talking points. What is it?
a gay scene to score points with the Uber libs, and there's an ensemble cast who are underdeveloped. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like, a few of them don't have much to do. But yeah, this was a trick. I'm sorry. I don't. I had to put something in there. I couldn't put the Joker in there because I mean that's their joke. But Eternals is our joke. Oh my goodness. There are a lot of 1-star reviews for Eternals, by the way. I had to pick one. This was very hard to pick. There are so many that say, oh, this is horrible, SGW, woke garbage. Yeah, okay, thank you. All right. This is a comic one. No, seriously, that was a trick, but this is a comic one. So this is a review from 2012. This is very old comparatively. It's from RD1. And it has 1 star, and it says hack writer as the topic. So this is somebody who has beef with the writer specifically. Ooh, and what do you think? Which writer is it? Oh, here we go. Ed Brubaker is one of the most overrated writers in comics. He took a character that was dead, brought him back, has main hero killed. Now the undead character takes over. New costume. This is just one sentence still. Old character returns, blah, blah, blah. Pretty lame and lazy way to sell books, in my opinion. I'm sure every writer had thought, blah, 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 blah. I'm sure every writer had thought they could bring him back to help sales. But from what I read, most respected the fact that the character died, and the impact of that partially is what drives the book. What comic is it? Judge, you know what this is.
I know, but I'm gonna be a gentleman and give it to Elvis
Yeah,
here.
Go ahead, Elvis.
It's Winter Soldier.
What do you think, Judge? Yeah, it's Winter Soldier.
It's that particular one, the Captain America run where Bucky had the black and American outfit with the gun.
Pretty
and
obvious.
There was a whole deal about why he had a gun.
This
My,
is also that was a pretty obvious one, honestly. But like, why is this person so angry at Ed Brubaker? I don't know. Like, he specifically calls him out. I mean, obviously, the art in that is by Steve Epting, who's fucking
yeah.
amazing. So I guess we can't complain about that. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
My favorite thing is that he mentions like bringing this character back to get more sales. And
Yeah.
I know that he probably meant it as in like, oh, make a big deal that you're bringing back an old character. But I want to imagine it's more like he thinks there's a legion of millions of Bucky fans
Yeah.
who will wake up and start buying Marvel comics again now that Bucky's back.
I don't think there were like I don't think anybody was a Bucky fan when that comic came out. Like, that character had been dead since '63 when they brought Captain America back. Like, was there like people clamoring out there? I mean, I think that's partially why that story worked, because it was a character nobody really expected to come back. Because I mean, they barely were in the comics to begin with. So I don't know. I also know that you really like this comic, Judge. So like,
Oh
that's
yeah.
probably why I included this one. Okay, okay. Elvis, I think this review is might hurt you a little bit, but I'm sorry, we're going to have to go through this. So this is from Jay Ginsberg. It's 1 star. It's from 2022, so this is a newer one. And it starts off with affirmative action in comic book form. So you know this is going to be great. This is a very dull comic that would have never made it past the pitch if the writer wasn't a black woman and the story wasn't about a black woman. Don't believe the hype! Exclamation mark. All the praise it's receiving must be coming from people who aren't regular comic book readers or who are grading it on a curve. If you want to read an excellent comic about a black woman, I suggest Frank Miller's Martha Washington books. I mean, agreed, obviously, but
Yeah,
like,
no. Let's see here.
okay, so it's affirmative action in comic book form.
No.
It's dull. It's written by a black woman, and it's about a black woman. What could it be? It's not Naomi by Brian Michael Bendis, because he's obviously not a black woman.
Oh, he might wish.
He wants to be, but
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see here.
from 2022, that's it's fairly recent, I think.
Let's see.
Do you have a guess, Judge, while he's thinking?
No.
Oh, I got it. I wait. No, it couldn't be because she's not black in that. Okay. So I was gonna guess. You said it was gonna hurt me, but is she black in it? I don't think so. I would say my first thing would probably be no. It's not. That wouldn't be it.
Do you want to know which company published this?
Yes.
Because that's going to be a big clue. This is a DC comic. This is a DC comic. This is not a Marvel comic. Like, we're not dealing with yeah. So what do you think it is, Judge? What do you think it is?
Oh no, I'm really drawing super blank here, and I feel really bad for drawing blank on it.
This okay, I'm gonna give you one more clue, which is this is a comic that DC has included in their Compact Comics line as one of those essential introduction comics. So this is a comic that DC values very highly right now.
Yeah, this is Far Sector.
Oh,
what do you think, Elvis?
Probably Far Sector. I've never read it, so
It's Far Sector, yes. Affirmative action in comic book form. Okay, so this would never have been published if the writer wasn't black. Like, yeah, okay, good on you, dude. Like, writing this review.
Just what a huge racist piece of shit, man.
There are so many fucking ones. There are so many of these. Like, I just picked a few that were like not too terribly over the top with it, but man, like I hate
Yamatail.
Zero talk about the comics, zero talk about the story.
Yep. Yep.
Not even talk about the art. That the art is fucking incredible.
Okay. Now let's go. And this is a review by Icarium Lifestealer. It sounds like
Eternals, yeah.
Sounds like somebody you'd fight in like a cheap mobile game or something. I don't know, like a Raid Shadow Legends character. He's given this 2 stars, so this isn't the worst thing he's ever read. But the topic of the review is no idea what's going on. I guess another reboot. So we're bound. This is going to be very interesting. Okay, so I'm sure Hickman is some sort of revered mastermind in comic nerd world, but I only read a few trade-ins here and there. Trade-ins. I was hoping for a straightforward story that doesn't require knowledge of 8,000 previous obscure manuscripts. I don't know all of these characters. Like Stan Lee said, every comic should be understandable by a new reader. Every text balloon is rather pompous, and the art isn't all that either. No curves on women, oh here we go, or anything. They look like 12-year-olds. Will avoid Hickman from now on. What is it? Like, this could be a Hickman book, really.
Like, on a reboot, someone gets House and Powers.
This is like this could honestly, if you're somebody who doesn't like Hickman, this could be a review of any Hickman comic. Because like these are like the fucking boilerplate complaints, like oh everybody talks weird and stuttery, and like it has so much stuff in it. What do you think it is, Judge?
I think it's Secret War or Secret Wars.
Secret War. It is actually House and Powers of X. It could have been anything. Like this could have been anything. This is a very typical review of Hickman stuff. There are a lot of these on every project he's been on. Like Secret Wars, there's shit like this all over. It's funny. Like, but I mean, I only included this because this is sort of like the boilerplate Hickman bad review. This is what everybody says about him. Oh no, it's too complicated. There was one which was like for House and Powers of X, which is like only about half of this collection is a comic, and I guess they counted the text pages and the diagrams and stuff like this, and they were like, "Oh, I'm being ripped off by this." I mean, fair.
Yeah, fair.
I mean, I think what cracks me up about this one is like oh well. First of all, wasn't that comment about this every comic being someone's first comic? Wasn't that Shooter?
I think it was Jim Shooter, maybe.
Like, I remember that like Shooter mentioned it like it was a politic at the time, and you can fucking tell if you read comics at that time.
Yeah.
But I'm also like really funny about this. In one way, fucking Morning Blade, Alien or whatever his fucking name was.
Icarium Life Stealer.
He's kind of right in that it is kind of a reboot, but it's also like, do you really need to know who the fucking X-Men are, bro?
No, yeah, exactly.
I don't.
I didn't know half of the stuff I was talking about was, but I think that's also part of it because it's like it's such an overhaul that you're kind of taking along for the ride, you know?
Yeah.
I think that comic especially is definitely not dependent on you having read X-Men before. I think it probably works better if you haven't. Because then you're not going to be sitting there like picking apart, oh, this character actually did this and this. Why are they doing this and this now? Because that's also like a classic boilerplate Hickman review. Like, oh, this character would never do this thing. Like, you see that so much in these reviews, like all the fucking time. Jesus. I only included this one Hickman review because like they're all this. Like all of them are this. All of the one-star reviews. Like this is confusing. I can't follow it. There are too many text pages. It's too messy. Like I need to know all the characters. Like you don't need to know all the characters. You can just read it. Like you don't need to know every character in Secret War to read Secret War. I think. I don't know. Okay.
Well, to be fair, I would agree with Secret War because it's like clearly just like the final arc of his Avengers run, and it sucks.
Here we go. Where did this time? Okay. So here's a good review. Here's another good one. We're in for it now. Okay, so this is from Nicholas Kolechek. He's from the United States. He's not Russian, but he's got a pretty Russian name. 1 out of 5 stars. The header is boring. And I want you to just drink in this review, like experience this fully. So, extremely boring. Only one superpowered being in the story who isn't even a hero. No supervillains. Even after superheroes are outlawed, no new villains pop up. I guess nature loves a vacuum. Very generic page layouts. It is, however, fairly colorful. It really seems like baby boomers comic creators giving the middle finger to the comic creators of their parents' generation. What is it?
I'm gonna go Watchmen again.
It's Watchmen.
It's Watchmen again.
It is Watchmen.
Oh my god!
This review, this has to be a joke, right? Like this cannot be serious. I want to picture that this is a real person who is like the most cape shit brain rotted person in existence. He sat down and he read this. He read like fucking Civil War, and then he sat down and read it, and he was like, "Oh, we're like, oh, there's only one. There's no supervillains in this. Like, why aren't there a bunch of supervillains? Like, why doesn't Norman Osborn take over? Like,
Why are all
oh
the
my
panels
god!
the
I hope
same?
this is a joke. I hope this is a joke.
I
Also,
will, I
very
will-
generic page layouts. Like, fuck you, dude. Like, Dave Gibbons' art in that is so good. Like, he masters the grid in that one. I don't
Also,
know.
I'm gonna give Nick props here. He did mention the colors, which
Yeah.
is not something a lot of people who talk about Watchmen ever do.
It is fairly colorful. Well, he was totally right about that. And also, like, baby boomer comic creators giving the middle finger to the comic creators of the parents' generation. Like, no. What?
That part is fucking funny because also a baby boomer comic creator would be giving the finger to like fucking not even to the Silver Age. Yeah, to the Silver Age. That would be giving the finger to like fucking Mort Weisinger and shit.
Yeah. And also, I like clearly Watchmen is a commentary on like the grim and gritty reboot of Silver Age characters. Like, that's basically what this is, except that Alan Moore is going like, oh yeah, this is how you take this and like take it over the top and make it like not funny anymore. But like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand.
Very colorful. Very colorful. They should put that on the cover. They should use
Very,
that
very
on the cover.
colorful. Yes, that was actually the last Watchmen review that I had in here. There are
Good.
more, but most of them are just like, most of them are like, I couldn't follow it. Like, there's a lot of those. There's a lot of those for like uh, especially Alan Moore and Grant Morrison comics. There are a lot of reviews that are just like, oh, I can't follow this. I don't understand what's going on. I don't think any of them are that hard to follow, are they?
I
Like-
think Morrison can get a little bit hard to follow, but if you tell me you didn't get fucking Watchmen, I don't think you read it.
I mean, there's people who don't get the boys. It reminded me a lot of this of the boys that review. Oh, a lot of the boys reviews are like, oh god, Ennis hates superheroes so much. And that's what the boys are about.
Oh,
Like on the surface, yes, but like it's about a lot more. So whenever someone says I hate it because it's just about hating DC and Marvel, it's like it's proving you haven't read the fucking comic, man. Sorry.
those reviews are always so wild to me. He's like, oh, Garth Ennis hates superheroes. Like, oh, and that's why this is bad. And like, oh, the show is so much better than the comic because the comic is just like edgelord garbage. And
And
like,
the show has political commentary. Like that's like 90% of the fucking comic, man.
They work for the CIA in the fucking comic.
And, like half of it is like Hero Gasm is like 90% like CIA agent blues, man. It's like there's that one character that's like all like when it dies at the end. It's like and that it's like, oh, but it's about like raunchy sex. Like, yeah, there's that scene where that fucking person explodes from Steven there. But like it's mostly about them doing a stakeout, CIA style. Okay, I mean, come on.
Yeah, just like it gets me with Watchmen because I consider Watchmen a really easy read.
It is. It's very easy.
It's not.
I think so.
The plot is not hard to follow. It sounds like it at some points. Maybe there are some like pretty big words in there, but the story itself, even if you don't read any of the files, even if you don't read, even if you're an asshole and you don't read the text pages and you're cheating yourself out of some excellent writing, the story itself is really straightforward. It's not hard to follow at all unless you're no longer reading it.
I think it's very easy to follow, and it's the Brian, the Dave Gibbons art makes it like it's so clear, like what's going on in the panels as well, like that style that he uses. Like it's never ambiguous what's actually happening in any given any given page. So I think it's a very easy comic to follow. Like as you say, a Grant Morrison comic, like Final Crisis is. That's going to require like a little bit of like you're going to have to rub some brain cells together because like obviously Grant Morrison is just going off the deep end in that. But like Watchmen, no, that's an easy read to me. I don't know. Okay,
Not for this guy.
Not for this guy. Okay, so this is a review that is representative of a special category of reviews. I've only included one because they're all very similar. This is from Lena. She's given this a 1 star, and she reviewed it in 2023, so fairly recently. Here's what she wrote. My son needed a banned book for a school book report. Some banned books are ridiculous on why they're banned. This one is banned for even being in our house. First, it's filled with using God's name as swear words, which we don't allow. So this is probably written by a fairly religious person. It is from the United States.
All right, I got it. Got it.
Then there's references to the Joker being a lousy husband, but the wife says it's okay because he's good in the sack. Then there's illustrations of the wife half naked. What happened to Batman? It used to be fun for all ages. What is it? It's not fun for all ages. It's Batman. I mean, like there are nude pictures in it, and the Joker is good in the sack.
Also Batman and Robin. It's also Batman and Robin. I got it.
Ah, the Frank Miller Jim Lee classic.
It's a classic. Well, someday we'll get the last final issues. I believe it.
The one that prominently features Vicky Vale's butt.
Yeah.
In it. Like, what do you think it is, Judge? It's banned.
I know we already said it, but I want to say Killing Joke again. I think I remember that it was the same.
Killing Joke. Yeah, it is.
My
the
God.
Joke. It is the Killing Joke. I like that this person looked at this comic, which has some seriously fucked up shit in it, and the stuff that she focused on was the fact that they took the Lord's name in vain, and the fact that they said that the Joker is good in the sack. Those are the only things that are offensive in this comic.
Those are her principles, those are her lines, and they will not be crossed.
She wasn't offended by the fact that Barbara Gordon gets shot in the spine, and then that the Joker takes like nude pictures of her. Like, yeah, that's
just fun for the whole family.
Like James Gordon in a bondage outfit, that's also okay. But like, don't say the God's name like as a swear, please. Like,
and don't imply that the Joker has a huge hog.
Yeah, but I like this. Just this final bit is like, just what happened to Batman used to be fun for all ages. There are a lot of reviews like that, which are like, oh, I bought this for my kid, and it's like Scott Snyder's Court of Owls or something like that. They're like, oh, I bought this for my son, and he's like 6 years old, and he didn't like it, and I'm like, yeah, that tracks. Like, yep. Good work. But I will say, in all fairness, I don't think Amazon has any kind of age rating on stuff like this. I don't think you can see anything like, oh, this is recommended for like teens or something like that. And if it does, it's probably very inaccurate. So, Okay. Let's do, I think I have 2 more here that we can do. So let's see here. Yes, let's do this one. This is a slightly longer review, but this one goes in places, and I think this one is of special interest to you. So this is from JTR9K. He gave this 1 star, and he says the topic of it is overrated and not essential, whatever you might have read. So this is a comic that, I mean, all of these are very famous, but this is a comic that people may say, oh, this is an essential read. This is an important comic. So here's his review of this. If you're like me, taking a tour through some of the essential stops in the Batman canon, you probably had this story recommended to you as a must-read. Honestly, don't waste your time. Aside from the titular event, in quotation marks, you're not missing anything. The illustrations are cartoony and limp, a far cry from the Batman you've probably seen in year 1. Long Halloween, Killing Joke, etc. This is more Adam West style. Lots of bright colors, which don't suit the modern version of the character. The story itself is also absolutely dreadful, even ridiculous. This is the kind of material that lingers in the imagination of those who see comic books as lesser writing. Don't be misled. There's better places to go next. What is it?
Oh, it's
a Batman comic. It's a comic with Batman in it. I mean, it's a Batman comic.
It's a very recommended one, but it's not Killing Joke. It's not year 1.
He said that it's not essential, so like maybe it's something that shows up on like, oh, you must read these Batman
Yeah, yeah,
comics.
yeah.
I'm gonna go World Finest. New one.
Wait,
Well,
which one?
fine.
New one.
The Dan Mora Mark
Yeah,
Waid Dan
yeah,
Mora one?
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I'm
then
gonna go.
you
I'm
you
gonna
oh
go.
you oh right, because of the art comments, like, oh, because it's like
Yeah, because it's
colorful.
colorful, right? Because of that, I'm gonna go with Batman Inc.
Hmm.
Oh, the Grant Morrison volume, I
Yeah,
would
it's
assume,
Batman
like,
Inc. or
yeah,
Batman Rip because I feel like he had that. It
with
was really colorful pop, and it was something that was recommended for a
with
long
art
time.
by Chris Burnham, I think, among
Yeah, yeah,
others,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
This is one a really good artist. I so okay, this is a bit of a cheat. This is Death in the Family, and I only picked this because you're here,
What
Judge.
do you mean? More
That's
akin to the Adam West one. Death in the Family?
Judge that famous Adam West
my
style
my
comic,
the famous
Death in the
everyone
Family.
everyone remembers that episode of Batman by Adam West where the Joker just beats the shit out of Burt Ward with a crowbar.
Yeah, where he beats, like he caves Robin's skull in with a crowbar and then blows him up with a bomb. Like one of the best Adam West episodes. I mean,
Holy phone hotlines, Batman.
I mean, okay, so real talk here. I don't think this is a very good comic. Like honestly, this is not one of the best Batman comics at all, and
No.
it's not. It's as he says, this is more known because of what happens in it, and as Jason dies. But
Yeah.
like saying it's an Adam West style Batman story, that's insane. Like that's crazy.
No,
What's wrong with this person?
I think there's a kind of person who is conditioned to see a Batman with a blue cape and a gray suit, and their brain
Oh.
just immediately says Adam West.
Right. Yeah. I can see it. Also, like that, this is art by Jim Aparo, like legendary artist Jim Aparo. I liked where you were at, by the way, Elvis, with Dan Mora. Like, I can see how somebody would see that and go like, "Oh, this is so colorful and like cartoony." In World's Finest, like that's a good guess. But like, I'm sorry, this person was even more insane than you expected. All right.
I just can't understand. Just can't understand.
No, I don't understand either. Okay, so last one. Let's see. What do we have? Um, let's see. Okay, we're gonna start. We're gonna flip the script here. Our final one is going to be a 5-star review of a comic. So now you know that this comic is perhaps something that that we might consider to be a little bit shaky. Like maybe not something that we would consider like, oh, this is something that you absolutely need on your shelf. But I'm going to read you this review and see if you can guess it. So the topic here is Great Story. It's from Kyle. He wrote this in 2023. Also, virtually all of these reviews are verified purchases. So these are almost all from people who have bought this comic from Amazon. So we're all of these terrible reviews, like that guy who read Infinity Gauntlet and was like, "Oh, this is awful." He bought that volume from Amazon and then he reviewed it. Why? I don't know. Anyway, let's hear what Kyle has to say. This is a 5-star review. I give this a solid 8 out of 10. Stroy and Passinf was great. Needed a little more in-depth in terms of the plot and reasoning for the Phoenix doing what it does. Other than that, this was a great read. The tie-in stories were definitely not a bore like House of M tie-ins. A must-read for all Phoenix fans. So this has the Phoenix in it, so you can probably guess that this is probably X-Men related in some way. But what is it? What does Kyle think is like an essential comic, the 5-star comic with great story and pacing and great tie-ins? What do you think, Elvis? Let's hear.
For Phoenix fans, I don't know. Avengers versus X-Men.
Sorry,
Avengers versus X-Men.
Avengers was interesting. Interesting. What do you think, Judge?
Fucking. I don't know much about stories because I thought it has to be kind of recent because it mentions house and stuff and blah, blah.
Also,
But
yeah.
then Phoenix is in there too, and
Phoenix is in there. So
mm.
big story with Phoenix in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Could it be that mature audiences Max Phoenix series that has like
Oh
extreme
no!
fan service in it?
Ryan Kinnaرد's
Like
Phoenix.
Ryan Kennard with like the little pasties, like the women who wear just little pasties.
Oh,
Could it
no.
be that?
I was
Could that
actually trying. I was actually
yes.
trying to. I was actually trying to remember if Messiah Complex had Phoenix in it because I remember that the whole
It
Pandora stuff. There
it
was some
doesn't.
Phoenix going,
No,
but
it
no, no,
doesn't.
no.
It doesn't
It's
really
not
have
that
the
one.
Phoenix. No, it doesn't
No,
have Phoenix in it. Really, it's
yeah, I'm tapping out of this one.
okay. It is Avengers versus X-Men. This person thinks, oh my goodness, like the tie-ins are great. Ah, Jesus, those tie-ins are awful for that comic. I've read that comic, but serious talk though, like Mo Phoenix, the edit is a masterpiece. Like that's the best version of that story. So, gentlemen, in tonight's exercise, Elvis has accumulated 13 correct guesses, which I think is very impressive. Whereas Judge
Nice.
has 11, which is
Yeah.
very, very close. Like you're very, very, you're cutting it excellently close here. I'm very impressed by some of your guesses. Like I did not think that you would guess some of these. Like that Captain Marvel one was very nebulous what that was about. So
Oh,
I'm
boy.
very, very impressed that you got that one, for
Yeah.
example.
Oof.
What do you think? What was your favorite review here? What's
Any of the Watchmen ones, honestly. I feel like that was like we went to Bizarre World, okay? Went to the mirror universe.
the
Um,
one with the HBO thing? Not like the HBO show. Like, oh my goodness, that was like that. When I saw that, I was like, oh, this format has legs. Like, this is absolutely something that I need to do just to read
Yeah.
that one for you guys. And the other one is also great. The one with like, oh, there are no supervillains taking over. Like that one, just because it's that's brain rot. Like that's when you talk about cape shitters, like people who only read superhero comics and have no frame of reference outside of that. That person is either that or he's a troll.
yeah.
No, I got slapped in the fucking mouth by that Killing Joke one. But
That one is
all of them,
painful.
all of them, all the Killing Joke ones were like, what the fuck?
Okay.
What comic did you read?
The old school comic, The Killing Joke, for collectors and enthusiasts.
Yeah, this cartoony with Alfred with the fine glass.
Oh, and it doesn't have any high-tech gadgets either, which, as we all know, is like the most important part of a Batman story, is that he has like cool
God.
gadgets.
God, man.
Like, it's not about the investigative work or anything like that. Nah, that's not important.
I do want to do something. I want to do something if everyone has a little bit of time. I want to do something as sort of a bonus.
All right.
I want to give you guys my own fake review of a comic. Like I want to take what we have learned so far and I want to see if I can freewheel, if I can like improvise a review and see if you guys can guess it.
All right.
And
All
then
right.
we can go ahead and each one of you can try as well because I feel like we've all learned something and it's important to put it into good use now for
So you're
content.
you're now channeling an Amazon user who
Yeah,
has bought a comic on Amazon, but is very very mad at it.
I have gone to the Amazon.com and I have purchased a comic that I know everyone here has read, and I'm going to give it a 1 star. I'm going to give it a 1 star
Yep.
because I cannot believe anyone would want to put out a comic set in Gotham City where there is almost no Batman. The art was lame and unexciting. The character cast was massive, but none of the characters had any interesting powers or abilities.
Right.
And ultimately, I found it an exercise in frustration. This is
I
a
know.
comic that wants to be a TV show just too bad, and it's not good enough to be even a comic.
I know
1
what
star.
this is. I know what this is.
Yeah.
I'll let you go first, Elvis.
It's Gotham Central.
This is Gotham Central.
It's absolutely Gotham Central. Yeah,
Oh, that.
I just turned to my left and I looked at my bookshelf and I picked like the first comic that I could see that we would all like sort of know.
Yeah,
And my brain just started immediately. The gears started turning. Like the art was shit.
I think the only thing that would have made that more accurate is that if you have complained that it's also woke because it has lesbians in it,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
obviously like catering to the woke crowd because like, oh my god, there are lesbians in it. Yeah, I totally like. Who would want to read a comic in Gotham City without Batman in it? Like,
Yeah, no
that's absurd.
superpowers either. I mean,
No
why
super.
are we
Well, I mean,
here?
there are some characters show up that have super. Like Starfire is there for like one page, but not part of the story. Yeah, it
So
could have. I mean, it could have been Gotham City Sirens as well. Oh wait, no, they have like Poison Ivy has superpowers.
I'm,
Doesn't count.
I'm actually a little surprised that you couldn't find like a 1-star review of Birds of Prey.
I didn't actually. I didn't. I mean, I had to limit what I was looking at. There are so many reviews. Like you heard this. Like this is a drop in the ocean. Honestly, this is a selection of the best ones.
A grain of
I'm
sand.
sure that there are horrible reviews of any Gail Simone book because like it's written by a woman by default. So that there's gonna be like you saw the Miss Marvel review, man.
Yeah,
Like I'm not kidding when I say there's probably 5 pages of just 1-star reviews of that Miss Marvel volume,
yeah,
which
and
is
also
insane. There are usually like 1 page maybe of each star rating. But that one is just like fucking pages and pages of people just saying, "Oh, this comic has a Muslim person in it. Oh no, this is about a woman. Like, oh, I hate it. What's happened to Marvel? Like, oh, goodness.
also let's be honest. Nobody is ever going to complain that the women in Birds of Prey were drawn flat.
Oh, well, at least not in the Ed Baines issues.
Oh boy!
Oh
Oh
no.
boy!
I mean, maybe the new Kelly Thompson one, somebody picks that up and they're like, "Oh, what is this artwork? Like, this comic used to be so sexy. Like, ooh."
Very colorful though.
Yeah.
Very colorful. Absolutely."
So, what would you
Ah.
guys? What would be your 1-star review?
All right, I got one. Okay.
Go on.
All right.
I can't believe I read something else by this writer. They show no respect for comic characters or superheroes. All they do is make disgusting jokes at the expense of these classic characters. I don't know, anyone who reads this might be a psychopath or a sociopath or should be put on a watch list. Really, it is honestly just awful and gross and Batman deserves better than to be used like this.
Oh, oh my god!
What's,
It has
what,
to be a Garth Ennis comic.
was the show better?
There's no show.
Oh no, no, no,
It
no!
was almost a
no.
show. It was almost a show.
Oh,
Oh, is it Hitman?
Yeah.
Oh, is it Hitman?
Yeah.
Are you shitting me? Oh my god! I was like, oh, what's a Garth Ennis comic that has Batman in it? And you were like, almost a show because that Kite Man.
It was almost called
Cat-
Noonans.
Because it was almost called Nonans and it has Six-Pack in it. Yeah, shit. How the
Then-
fuck did? Oh man, Jesus! I'm surprised. I'm more surprised than you guys are that I guessed that. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like also it would be like someone going like, "Oh, this is obviously the writing of someone who thinks that guns are the best superpower and that dudes in trench coats are cool."
Yeah.
And whatever happened to my good old comics?
Oh, the most surface level reading of any Garth Ennis comic, which is like
Right.
white man with gun is cool.
Right.
Like that meme where the guy looks at something and the meaning goes over his head and he just looks forward and is like, oh, it's cool. A white man with gun is cool. Okay, so my 1-star review is the following. This comic is way too complicated. There are too many characters in it. The super team has there are too many characters that nobody knows and nobody cares about. The art is way too messy. It's hard to make out. And it's very old school and corny. This is like reading something from the 1960s. Would not recommend 1 star. What do you think it is?
This is superheroes.
Is this Avengers by Bullski and Perez?
What do you think, Elvis?
No, with Legion Superheroes. Maybe 5 years later.
No, Judge knows me way too fucking well. Yeah, it is Busiek and
Oh
Perez
yeah.
Avengers.
All right.
I looked for a bad review of that. There are none.
Yeah, of
There are
course
none.
not.
There are only theoretically bad ones that are like, oh, my copy was delivered damaged. And I mean, like, yeah, okay, sure. I really wanted to have more reviews that were like comics that we were personally very invested in. I tried to find ones like
Unfortunately, we just have too much good taste.
Death in the Family was only because I wanted the Lady Shiva comic in there, and that was the only one that had like a really funny review to it. Also, obviously, the Eternals movie review was just for Elvis because
just to hurt him.
Insanity.
Oh, there.
Who gets anything from that? Good or bad? Who gets anything from that comic?
Well, comic. That was the movie.
No,
that wasn't a comic.
Oh, really? Okay, then that makes more sense.
Do you want to hear a review of the Eternals comic? That's insane. That's insane.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I grabbed this one. So, you're probably going to hate this. I'm sorry, Alice, but so. Awesome. Very similar to the movie, but better. Very unique story. This was my first introduction to the Eternals, and it was worth it. Great artwork, clever and thought-provoking story. Bought this before watching the movie, and I think I was able to appreciate the movie better because of reading this book first. Definitely worth a read. 5 stars.
Jesus.
That's for Eternals by Neil Gaiman and JRJR, by the way.
Oh my god!
The worst one!
The worst one.
That one is even worse than the most recent one. It's so bad. There's also I also clipped this one because it's like the artwork is the first thing that grabs you. John Romita Jr. is a worthy artist to redo Jack Kirby's vision, which I don't disagree with that. Like, I think John Romita Jr. could do a really cool Jack Kirby riff. But in that comic, where he's mostly just drawing people in like suits and business rooms and shit, like, oh my god. That comic is not visually stunning, like by any stretch of the imagination. And of course, like, yeah, fuck. Jesus. I look too much at these the Eternals reviews. The funniest ones are for the Neil Gaiman ones because there are so many Neil Gaiman stans who just go in and give that 5 stars. And it's bad. I'm sorry, but it's bad. It's really terrible.
Bad. It's really bad. We're going over how bad it is.
Yeah,
we have talked many times about how bad that is, but like, I'm amazed. I'm shocked.
Yeah, wasn't there like an interview with Gaiman himself where he just went, "Yeah, I did that when I was really inexperienced with Marvel, and it's kind of trash."
He did 2 comics as part of some kind of contract deal about Miracle Man, and it was 1602 and it was Eternals. So it was sort of like, I think he was fulfilling a contract with both of those. 1602 is the one that people bring up because that's the one that they're like, oh yeah, this is the one that he just did for like some kind of weird fill-in thing. Yeah. But I think Eternals was also that, actually. I don't think he would ever have written that if it wasn't for the lawsuit against Todd McFarlane over Miracle Man. Where Marvel, went in and bailed Gaiman out with it. So,
But it's it's one of those stories that I feel like it sounds so normal when you put it like that. But imagine if we were in a lawsuit.
Yeah.
And part of my contractual obligation for that lawsuit was write a comic book.
Yeah.
Not like pay money or paying damages. It was like write us a comic book. It feels like it feels like trading stuff for work.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not that strange. I mean, Gaiman was like, I mean, it wasn't like he wasn't a comic book writer when they did that lawsuit. Like, Marvel was looking at it and they were like, oh, I guess like if we scratch your back and help you out with this, like you help us out with something. It's not that weird. I mean, it's a little bit weird, but
It feels like trade economy. It feels like, hey, make me a chair and I'll give you this window.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like that Grandpa Simpson thing where like, oh, I painted your fence for a pie in like 1923, whatever that is with Grandpa. Oh, that pie was awful. Yeah. Okay, so guys, you did really well here. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
I
It was
had a
fun.
blast. It
It was
was
it,
emotional. It was a
I
roller
was on a
coaster
yeah
ride.
roller coaster. Yeah, it was a roller coaster.
This went places like this. Some of these go like insane places. You don't expect where these some of these go. Like
I know what I'm a super damages, mental, physical.
like you expect these to just be like, oh, the art is bad and like, oh, it sucks. Like the ones about like the SGW stuff, that's the stuff you expect. But then you get to the ones that like the Watchmen one with the HBO thing, or the Killing Joke one where it's like, oh, this is like, oh, like hokey old school Batman, and then you're like, how do these people like what? What's going
Did
on
you
here?
did you read the first 2 pages and then stop? I'm I'm actually tempted. I got a little bit tempted to go and check Killing Joke again because the review that you gave us mentioned the part where Joker's wife talks about how he's such a great fuck.
Yeah,
And what I want to check, I
I
want
think
to check if
it's
that
early
happened.
in the comic, right?
Yeah, I want to know how early in the comic that is because I want to know if that happens before or after the whole shit with Barbara.
I think before, right?
Yeah, it has to happen before because imagine
Like
like getting
what
to that.
she mentions they take God's name in vain a lot. That probably happens throughout the comic, and then it's the dialogue with the Joker about that he's a good lay, and I think what was it? What was the other thing she mentioned? Shit, now I gotta look it up again.
Oh, okay, all right.
But I mean, like, oh my goodness. Uh,
Okay, okay, all right, all right. I went ahead and I checked, and yeah, the part with Joker's wife in the flashback is before that, is very early on. There's also here the part with Alfred and the teapot.
oh, that was a
Actually,
different review. That was a different review, actually. The one with Alfred
all
and the
right,
teapot.
all
That
right.
was the guy who thought it was very old school. This was the woman who thought that it was not
Yeah,
for
just for
kids.
kiddie shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, it's all the funny thing, the part with Alfred and the teacup, that is the scene literally before the scene with Barbara.
Mm.
Like if you read 2 pages after that, you get the shot. You get
Yeah.
the revolver and the gun and the shot through the gut. So it's like
But
we know the exact point where this guy stopped reading.
But you don't know. This person might consider a woman being shot and crippled to be like a funny old school thing. Like maybe that's no, maybe this is a person who's grown up on like modern day like Joker ultra violence, and he's like, oh, he's just shooting a woman. Like that's really old school. Like
How
why
quaint.
why isn't he like gassing an orphanage or something?
Yeah,
I don't
wow,
know.
wow. He's not wearing his own face as a mask. Wow. How
Oh,
quaint. How retro.
yeah, exactly. It's very retro. I mean, it is very retro, that comic. Like it doesn't have the Tumblr in it, and as we know, any comic without the Tumblr is retro. Um, it's like that Marvel's review as well, where he's like, "Oh, Spider-Man is nowhere to be seen." He cannot have read that comic. Like that fourth issue is entirely about Spider-Man, so he must have just read the early ones and then just stopped. It's like, oh my god, like, oh, I have to read about Captain America. Like, fuck this.
I love people. I also, it's the same thing I have with people who leave the theater in the middle of a movie because it's like you bought the comic, you received the comic, you opened the comic, and I know that you read at least a few pages of it,
No,
and you just immediately went, "No, this is not for me," and then just threw it away and went in to write a review. At least read the whole fucking thing.
oh, most of these are also verified customers, so it means that they actually bought this comic for real money. So all of these people who give like Miss Marvel by G. Willow Wilson 1 star because it's about a Muslim, and they're like they bought this comic and they presumably bought it only to hate on it on like Amazon's fucking review page, which everybody reads. Like,
Oh
oh my
boy,
god,
what a world! What a
what
world!
a world we live in. All right, fellas, that's about everything that I have in terms of quizzes for tonight. So, Elvis,
Yep.
what do we do now? Are we done?
Yep. All right. So, I'm glad to have you guys. This is so much fun. And I know that, Bullski has a bunch of ideas for a sequel. So if that pans out, then, let's get it done. I'm all open. I'm good. I'm good. Um,
Yep.
but why don't you guys just kind of sign us out? How about you, Judge? You go first.
Yeah. If you found anything that happened here interesting at all, you can follow me at Twitter at twitter.com/judgeanon. I also have a Blue Sky and a Tumblr, although I don't particularly use any of those a lot. But yeah, you can follow me there without any trouble and just say hello.
Absolutely. You can also follow me on Twitter and on Blue Sky. On my Twitter, there are also links to my other places where I have articles and such uploaded. It's Comrade Bullski on all of these sites. And please come along. Like if you want to follow me, go ahead. We talk about comics, all sorts of comics. It's not just this, I promise. And I also want to say thank you to Elvis for hosting this tonight.
Mhm. Well, thank you so much for joining. I always have a lot of fun when you guys are on. And yeah, thank you so much for the people who listened. Thank you, Marcus, you're still around for joining. I see we still have two other viewers, so thank you to them. And yeah, hope you guys had fun listening to us lose our minds.
Yep. Thank you to everybody who might listen to this like retroactively as well when it gets uploaded.
Right. Well, thank you and have a great day. See you next
All
time.
right. Have a good
Catch
evening.
you later.